On a daily basis, they were name-calling, trying to steal my stock from the front of the shop, coming in, harassing my staff.
Plagued by pupils with nothing better to do. That's how Neil describes the recent experience of his gift shop in Newark, with law enforcement lagging behind.
It feels like the police are spending all of their time chasing where they've just come from, and they can't get ahead of them, and so the problem just never stops.
Neil would like to see the next Police and Crime Commissioner spend more time and money tackling the problem. And on Thursday, voters get a chance to pick someone for the top job, which oversees the budget and holds the Chief Constable to account. Conservative incumbent Caroline Henry is seeking re-election. She faced calls to resign last year after a judge handed her a 6-month driving ban. I understand you're now back behind the wheel after a 6-month ban from driving. Are you now sticking to the speed limit?
I am sticking to the speed limit, and I'm really sorry I didn't do that before.
You were caught speeding 5 times in 12 weeks, including on a road that passes a school. Shouldn't you be held to a higher standard?
I am really sorry I messed up. It was 3 years ago, and I was driving home late at night, 9:30 past that school. It was a dual carriageway. I absolutely should have noticed.
Have you violated any other offences?
Absolutely nothing I'm aware of.
Nothing you're aware of?
I'm boringly squeaky clean. You have to be Police and Crime Commissioner.
The force is currently the subject of an enhanced level of monitoring by the policing Watchdog after it found it was not sufficiently carrying out effective investigations or supporting victims. That's a problem Labour's candidate wants to help to fix, even if he's not quite sure how. How would you help turn it around?
If I'm fortunate, as I say, on the 2nd of May to get into office, I don't quite know what that is and what that means, because that's not really been explained to me by the current Police and Crime Commissioner, Caroline Henry. But I think it's a...
So you don't know what you'd do to get it out of special measures?
At this point in time, I don't know what the detail is. Part of that, though, is a reflection of what I believe is Caroline Henry's reign, and I think that she's fallen well short of those standards.
People, perhaps because of her speeding, will be looking at each candidate individually quite closely. Have you ever been caught speeding?
I have been a police officer for 15 years, and in those 15 years I upheld the law. I kept to the standards required of public office.
The force has also faced criticism from the victims' families after the Nottingham attacks last year. The Liberal Democrat candidate David Watts says they're right to find fault.
To an extent it's justified, because the communication seems to have been very poor, and that's why I said we need to look after the victims of crime so that people know what's happening and that they're not just treated as being a spare part within the system. I'm all about not just reducing crime but reducing the fear of crime, so that if people have an incident, they know the police will respond, so that we look after victims of crime properly and we make sure that it's not just a tick box exercise, but that there is a real response, real investigations.
The last 12 months have certainly been challenging for Nottinghamshire Police. It's now up to voters to decide who is best to take on its leadership. Lewis Warner, ITV News.